security considerations, monitoring transaction logs for suspicious behavior. What I notice with a lot of clients, they do not keep logs or they do not back up logs, and or monitor the transaction logs. If you think about how busy we are in the support world, to have one resource do nothing but monitor transaction logs, right? Go through them, all that. That's why you need that automated process. That's why you need that software that can look at that. LabTech is another great piece of software that we use that you can customize it. You can script within LabTech, and you can point it and automate it to do anything you want, both security-wise and automation-wise. Prevent phishing and malware attacks. Currently, we are helping a client that had been severely attacked by ransomware. And even though people lost data and they were down for weeks, people are still clicking accidentally on some of these links. And now, once you get compromised, the bad guys, mainly in Russia, some in China, you're on the A list. Because now they have your profile, they have your signature, they have any of that stuff, and they make it look really, really good. So you have to have programs in place, policies in place. You have to, there's a software out there called PhishMe, and you set it up and you target, certain groups and things like that, and you train them and say, okay, this is what you look for, and it's better that you're doing that with a program like PhishMe than an actual predator trying to get data and lock you out of your network. So the malware attacks and the ransomware attacks, the other thing that we noticed, people are like, oh, I have antivirus, I have anti-malware. And then the third one, do you have anti-ransomware? And most people say no. And that is probably the most dangerous one out there. So make sure you ask those questions on what's happening, and you have to cover that base. That's a very important base. Authenticating authorized users. So if somebody is getting in, sometimes people are like, oh, I just opened up RDP, and they just go to the IP address. It's an open IP address to the web, or I've got NAT. They hit this address, it goes in there, and then they just RDP and they log in, and they're not resetting their passwords and every 30 to 45 days. That's a problem. You want dual authentication. You want them to log into, let's say, a firewall or a router with a VPN, like AnyConnect with Cisco or WatchGuard or SonicWall. They have VPN clients, much more secure. And then dual authentication is obviously one of the better authentications out there. And if you're dealing with a lot of data, a lot of public data, that's where you should be. Access of restricted data by authorized users. I would say that there are programs out there that you can run that will give you on database and file structure, who has access to what. We run these tools, and sometimes we find out that someone has given themselves administrative rights to the HR folder, which is not good, or the top of the share, and it's sloppy, and you have to be careful that people that shouldn't be seeing sensitive data like HR data, they should not have access to those kind of folders. So, but there are tools out there, because otherwise you don't want to go through each folder, on every server. That would take forever. Illegal retrieval of CRM data, which is a corporate access. Again, the dark trace would notice that, like, hey, this guy is pulling, gigs of data off and putting it on an external hard drive. It would literally shut off that port, so the person would be able to work, but it'd be like, oh, can't communicate to device, and then it would set an alert to your team and say, hey, John, why are you trying to download, 2 gig worth of data to your external hard drive? And otherwise, you would never know that Dave was doing that. So, again, good systems and process have to be in place. Otherwise, people are going to be doing stuff, and you don't have enough eyes to keep an eye on everybody. Controlling access for each user. This process, if you're starting out, a Sugar, a CRM, or any database, or you have to go and plan it out. You have to really map it out. Who needs what access? If you do it on the fly, it will always end badly. So if you need help with that, firms like mine can help you walk through the process, ask the good questions, and you guys can, do the heavy lifting if you want to keep costs down, whatever that is. But definitely go through that process. Do not wing it. Managing user sharing policies, the same thing applies. I would do all of that through groups, and then give that group the sharing rights, and then that way, if you need to, you just pull somebody out of that group. You don't have to go through a long laundry list of folders and things like that. So be smart about how you're handling the security, and it should be replicable and easy to understand and documented. So as you're going through it, document it. Go through it, document it. Don't write it on a piece of paper and then say you're going to go back to it, because you never will. We all have multiple screens. Have one screen open. As you're doing it, type it out, type it out, type it out. You'll have at least 70, 80% of it done. And then even if you go back and work on it at a later time, you can